The Hyades star cluster, open cluster M37, and NGC 1275 are visible in the next few days. We'll help you find them in this week's Astronomy Magazine podcast. Hello, I'm Astronomy Magazine Senior Editor Michael Bakich. Each week, I highlight 3 different night sky targets for you to see. One object you can find without optical aid, one object to find with a small telescope, and one deep sky object to find with an 8-inch or larger telescope for you avid astronomers. This week's naked eye object is the V-shaped Hyades star cluster in Taurus. It's the neighboring cluster of the better-known Pleiades. And although the Hyades is closer, larger, and brighter than the Pleiades, it doesn't look as spectacular. The bright stars just spread out too much. The Hyades has a diameter of more than 5 degrees, so it only looks like a cluster to your naked eyes or through binoculars. If you train a telescope toward this object, focus in on the many fine double stars the cluster contains. Oh, and one further note. Aldebaran, that's Alpha Tauri, Taurus's brightest star, does not belong to the Hyades. Aldebaran lies only 65 light-years from Earth, while the stars of the Hyades cluster are 150 light-years away. This week's small telescope target is the Salt and Pepper cluster, also known as M37. It lies in Auriga and is that constellation's third and final Messier open cluster I'll discuss in this series of podcasts. In fact, most observers consider M37 Auriga's best deep sky object. Through even a 4-inch telescope, 50 stars, evenly matched in brightness, scatter uniformly across a field of view 10 arc-minutes wide. Look for the brightest member, a 9th magnitude star that glows with an orange hue near the cluster's center. You'll have no problem picking out M37 from the rich Milky Way starfield that stretches through this part of the sky. This week's deep sky object is NGC 1275, the brightest member of the Perseus galaxy cluster, which lies in the constellation Perseus, the hero. This group is part of the Pisces-Perseus supercluster, which contains about 1,000 galaxies. The Perseus galaxy cluster also goes by the name Abell 426. This name comes from American astronomer George Abell, who identified and cataloged 2,712 galaxy clusters in 1958. With the inclusion of southern sky galaxy clusters since then, the catalog has grown to over 4,000 galaxy clusters. To find NGC 1275, look 2 degrees east of Algol, Beta Persei. Through a telescope, this galaxy appears bright, small, and nearly circular. Don't confuse it with NGC 1272, a similar galaxy just 5 arc-minutes to the west. NGC 1275 is slightly brighter at magnitude 11.7. NGC 1272 shines at magnitude 12. Through a 10-inch telescope, you'll spot a dozen galaxies in a field of view a degree across. Most lie south and west of NGC 1275. Here's a region of sky where increased telescope aperture really pays off. As you look through larger telescopes, you'll see more galaxies, and the ones you've already seen will show more detail. And that's this week's Night Sky Highlights. If you're just getting into astronomy, be sure to visit www.astronomy.com/intro for information on constellations, planets, and more. And remember, in every issue of Astronomy Magazine, you'll find The Sky This Month, a section that features a calendar of sky events, an all-sky map, and tips for viewing the month's night sky attractions. For the transcript of this podcast, visit astronomy.com/blogs. Thanks for listening, and be sure to tune in next week for 3 more night sky targets.